Let me tell you about the moment a show stops being a show and starts being a cautionary tale. Because that is exactly what Hudson and Rex has become. And before you assume this is another recap of everything that went wrong, it isn't. You already know what went wrong. What I want to talk about is something the conversation keeps skipping over. Something more important than the controversy itself. I want to talk about what a show actually owes its audience. And whether Hudson and Rex has any idea what that debt looks like. Here's the thing about long-running procedurals. They survive on a very specific kind of trust. It isn't the trust you put in a prestige drama where you're following a storyline. It's quieter than that. It's the trust that says, I will show up every week, and you will give me the thing I came for. The familiar face. The rhythm I know. The partnership that makes everything else feel worth it. Hudson and Rex built that trust over 7 seasons. 7 seasons of Charlie Hudson and Rex working cases in St. John's with a chemistry that felt genuinely earned. John Reardon wasn't just playing a detective. He was the human anchor of an entire world. And the audience knew it, even if they couldn't always articulate why. And then that anchor was gone. Not because of a dramatic story decision. Not because a contract dispute played out in public. But because a man got sick, fought quietly, recovered completely, was ready to return, and was told the door was already closed. That is the fact that sits at the center of all of this. Everything else flows from it. Now, Season 8 has come and gone. And the numbers told the story that fans were already telling with their frustration. Luke Roberts is not the problem. Let me be completely clear about that. He is a capable actor who was handed an impossible situation and asked to carry a show that had already made a decision that alienated its core audience before a single episode aired. That is not a fair position to put anyone in. And yet that is exactly what Shaftesbury did. Because here is what the people running this show seemed to misunderstand. The audience wasn't just mourning Charlie Hudson the character. They were responding to what the off-screen story revealed about how this production treats the people who built it. A man spent 7 years creating something audiences loved. He got cancer. He got through it. He was ready. And the response was, we've moved on. That isn't a creative decision. That is a values decision. And audiences are remarkably good at sensing the difference. So now we are at Season 9. And the question everyone is asking is whether John Reardon is coming back. There have been hints. There has been speculation. There has been promotional material that has raised eyebrows. And there has been, from Shaftesbury and Sidditt, a level of official silence that is doing more damage by the day. But here's the question I think we should actually be asking. Not just will he come back, but what does it mean if he does, and what does it mean if he doesn't? Because those are 2 very different conversations. If Charlie Hudson returns in Season 9, in any meaningful form, the show has a chance. Not a guarantee. A chance. Because the damage from Season 8 isn't just about ratings. It's about broken trust. And rebuilt trust takes longer than 1 season premiere. It takes consistency. It takes the show proving, episode after episode, that it understands why people fell away. A cameo won't do it. A 2-episode arc won't do it. What would actually begin to repair the relationship between this show and its audience is a genuine, sustained acknowledgement that Charlie Hudson was irreplaceable, that the show was diminished without him, and that his return matters as much to the story as it does to the people watching it. That is a high bar. But this show set that bar itself, back when it first introduced us to Charlie and Rex, and made us care about both of them more than we probably intended to. If he doesn't come back, then Season 9 has a different job entirely. And it is an even harder one. It has to make the case that this show can be great without the thing that made it great in the first place. Not just watchable. Not just competent. Great. It has to create something new enough, compelling enough, emotionally resonant enough that audiences eventually stop comparing it to what it was and start investing in what it is. That has happened before with other shows. It is rare. It requires the kind of creative courage and quality execution that usually only shows up when a production is fighting for its life. And make no mistake, that is exactly the position Hudson and Rex is in right now. What this story is really about, underneath all the drama and the fan frustration and the newspaper ads, is something that television keeps having to relearn. Audiences are not passive. They are not just consumers of content. They are participants in a relationship. And relationships require accountability. When you take something away from people that they have invested years into, you cannot simply replace it and expect the math to work out. People grieve what they've lost, and they remember how it was taken. John Reardon handled all of this with more grace than the situation deserved. He said what happened, clearly and without bitterness, and then he moved on with his dignity completely intact. The question now is whether the show he built can do the same. Season 9 exists. The footage is shot. Whatever the answer is, it's already been decided by people in editing rooms and production meetings that the audience had no part in. But here is what has not been decided yet. How this chapter ends for Hudson and Rex as a piece of television history. Whether it becomes the show that made a terrible mistake and found its way back, or the show that made a terrible mistake and never really understood why it mattered.